Good morning. It's Wednesday, October the 7th, and this is Wisdom for Your Week. It is tough to be a parent these days. The temptations for our children are great. The opportunities for them to make life-altering mistakes are numerous. The internet and social media, a lack of spiritual training in many homes, and just an overall godless culture all works against parents today. But many of the same kinds of temptations existed as Solomon struggled to raise his children. Human nature hasn't changed all that much in all the years since Solomon. It's tough now, but it was also tough then. Solomon was specifically concerned about the dangers of sexual immorality. He spends much of chapter 7 of Proverbs describing how the immoral woman tries to lure a man into committing adultery. He explains how that sexual immorality destroys lives. And in our verse for today, he tells us how a man can avoid that sin. Proverbs 7 verse 25 says, "Do not let your heart turn to her ways or stray into her paths." In overcoming any sin, the heart is the key. As the heart goes, so goes life. What we do is important, of course, but what we think determines what we do to a great extent. Sin starts in the heart, and so sin is a heart issue before it becomes a body issue. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life." Jesus said that it is from the heart that all kinds of sin comes. Someone said that the heart is like the control tower of life. It directs our thoughts and our intentions and our desires. If you and I can somehow manage to control our heart, then a big part of our spiritual battle is won. How do we do that? How do we guard our heart? How do we keep our heart from turning towards sin, as Solomon put it here? Well, for one thing, we put the right things into our heart. We control the input. We put the truth of God's Word into our heart on a daily basis. You and I will never win the battle for our heart without putting the truth of God's Word into our heart. We just won't. We'll be beat before we even get started. So we put the right thing in. We also learn to keep the wrong things out. We filter what we allow our heart to think about and meditate on and dwell on. If we're going to be tempted by something that we see, then we filter that. We stop ourselves from seeing that thing. The same is true with what we hear or read, the things we expose our heart to. So you concentrate on what you put into your heart, and you concentrate on what you keep out of your heart. And that's wisdom for your week.